How's it going, everybody? You got Freddie Villa here from the Pinstripers podcast, and I just wanted to sort of do an introduction to the episode that you're about to listen to. So this is my very first time doing something like on location. So I took a mixer with me, I took my gear, I took my computer, and kind of set up in the living room of this house in Nauvoo, Illinois. So I was up there for the Nauvoo Grape panel jam, put together by John McCarty and Bob Anderson up there in Nauvoo. I was able to interview them, Bob, John, Anthony Monaco, Tracy McKenzie, Blake Winters, Jordan Wenberg, and Joe Mahalik Jr. I may have made a mistake by trying to do it in the living room while everybody was cutting up, but hindsight is 2020. We had a great time. It was super fun to talk to these guys. It was super fun to be around such amazing artists. Everybody was killing it up there. I had a chance to learn a lot. I was up there basically almost a solid 4 days or something like that. It was super cool. And it was just a good time. So I was able to set up. There was a slight sonic, like, weird sound that I was getting. It almost sounded like wind through the system. I couldn't figure it out quick enough to get it out before we started recording. So it's kind of in there if you hear that. If you hear some people's voices are lower than others, it was just a situation. I was kind of passing around mics. So bear with me on that one. And also, if you'd like to sponsor an episode, contact us at pinstripers.podcast@gmail.com. $20 gets your name shout out, gets your company shout out or Instagram or whatever. And you help us keep the podcast rolling. So without further ado, here is the Nauvoo Grape Panel Jam episode. All right, we're on. Welcome back, folks, to the Pinstripers podcast, podcast about pinstripers, hosted by two pinstripers. I'm Freddie Villa. Jack could not make it today, and we're in Nauvoo, Illinois. Say hi there, Bob.
Hello, everybody from Nauvoo.
All right. Give us a little rundown about Nauvoo.
Ooh, where to start? First of all, Nauvoo is right where Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri all meet up on the Mississippi River. A lot of history in this town for a little bitty town of Nauvoo. It's where the Mormon religion started. They left town. Then the Icarians came in and started growing grapes. We had the oldest winery in the state of Illinois, still running by the same family. And we celebrate the history of the winemaking of Nauvoo with the Grape Festival, where we celebrate wine drinking. It's kind of a fun time in Nauvoo. And the mayor of Nauvoo, or he just stopped being the mayor of Nauvoo, started a car show when he was in high school in 1978. And he started this car show, custom van show, to coordinate with the town's Grape Festival. And here we are all these years later with the Festival on Wheels car show to celebrate the cars in the town. And then it was 10 years ago, we started in 2012, we started a panel jam with the car show, and our panel jam has grown to be quite the show within the show. We have quite a following. We have artists from all over the country now comes in for the panel jam, and that's why we're here today to celebrate the paint and the spirits and have a good time. And we raise money through an auction Sunday at our car show, and all the money that we raise at our auction goes to a scholarship fund to where we help put kids that are in high school getting ready to further their education into an automotive trade. They get a scholarship from us, and we've been doing it. So far we've given away $23,000 since we started this little thing, and it's really grown the last few years. And it's continuing to grow. We have a good time. And this is Freddie's first year with us.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Freddie, this is your first panel jam experience, and you came up with quite a motley crew. How are you liking it so far?
I like it a lot, man. It's a big cut up. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the place. The people really make it. If y'all can see what these guys are doing with these mics. We also got Tracy McKenzie here. Say hi, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy McKenzie.
Thank you. And Anthony Monaco, say hi. Anthony.
Hello.
So, how long have you guys been coming here?
This is my first year.
Is it really?
Yes. Yep. My first year here.
No, it ain't.
Yeah.
This is his
So why do I got to do the
first.
speech?
Because you're the first guy.
Oh, Freddie's mad.
Experience. That's why.
How many years you been coming, Anthony?
This is my 8th year. I look forward to this every single year.
All right. And you've been doing it from the beginning or what?
Yes.
How did the panel jam come
Well,
about?
a little history. John McCarty, who has Outlaw Tees, sign painting and T-shirt business, he's been putting on this car show since he was in high school. And so anyway, this car show he's been putting on, and a friend of ours that lived here in Nauvoo, Tom Seolick, his father was an old school sign painter up in Chicago, Illinois. So Tommy...
Did you drive a Ferrari?
He did drive a Ferrari. Red one, too. And so Tom grew up sign painting and pinstriping, and we were down at the car show one day, and on Sunday, we were just goofing around, and Tom Seolick was just like, hey, why don't we do a panel jam at the car show? And that little statement spurred it all, and so we started out with a very small group of people, and that's where it all started. And unfortunately, Tom came down with cancer. He's no longer with us. And so we've changed the scholarship to the Tom Seolick Memorial Scholarship. And so that's how we keep the spirit of Tom going, is we get to present the scholarship in his name. And I'll be honest with you, Freddie, when we give these scholarships away, it's literally the highlight of the year. John McCarty, myself, Blake Winters from Minooka, Illinois. We help present these scholarships. We get to go up on stage. We give our presentation and speech, and it's very fun because the kids they get a sizable check from us. But what we also do is, because most of these kids that are going to learn a trade, they typically end up opening their own shop, their business. And so what we do, or I should say we, John McCarty, he's extremely talented, will create a piece of art for them with possibly their future shop name, and it might be a picture of their hot rod that they're building, their grandpa's vehicle, their father's figure. So when we give them the check, their parents are happy about getting the check, but the kids are so excited they get a custom piece of artwork, and that's all they really care about. So anyway, that's where we're at on that, and that's how it started with Tom Seolick. We were just hanging out and just on a whim, and now it's a big deal. I mean, people literally come to this car show specifically just to watch these guys paint. And when we have females here helping paint too, but they come here specifically for the art auction, because as we know, you can't find an artist that does this type of work just anywhere, and they know when they come to these auctions, they can come home with an extremely unique piece of artwork to hang in their man cave or put in their house. I
feel like the general public still doesn't even know what pinstriping is. Like the general public.
I have to agree. We hear it a lot in the events we do, that everybody says it's a dying art.
The number one thing I hear, it's a dying art.
Yeah.
I agree. Do y'all think it's dying out, or do y'all think it's coming back or growing?
I think it's growing. It's just not the amount of people that sees it. At car shows, cruising. I don't think that pinstripers are prevalent enough in all the car shows and cruising, especially local. I mean, I used to make a lot of my living doing local cruise-ins, but there's not that many cruise-ins back home anymore. I mean, I may see 2 a year at that, where there used to be like 3 a weekend.
Yeah.
But that's over the last 25 years. It's fallen out. I think that's where it falls off at.
Did you start off right out of high school, or were you doing it before high school?
I was dabbling in pinstriping in high school. I was airbrushing, painting pictures, stuff like that, since I was 13.
And who showed you how to do that? This is Tracy, by the way, everybody.
Just self-taught, messing around, literally. Yeah. Just figuring it out as I went.
Cool.
Trying to watch other pinstripers at car shows back when, they would turn their back to you and tell you, don't look, don't watch, go, go figure it out, because I had to, so you're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with a lot of folks.
It is, but what's great, though, nowadays, it's not like that at all. Yeah. I mean, I meet so many veteran stripers, and I mean, they're just happy to talk to you. They're happy to show you something. I mean, Shazeka's one of them. I mean, Steve Baylor.
You're one of the veterans.
Well, I am now, I guess, because I'm that old, but I mean, I just
made it experience.
I just made it a veteran. I made it a point I was quote unquote brought into the striping world that way. I'd never be that way to anybody. So if anybody wants to learn how to,
so
it's not a secret.
Do y'all feel like there's some sort of it's better to learn it on your own? Because I know some folks.
I think somewhat, because that way it gives you a chance to develop.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, YouTube's fantastic, and I mean, we say this stuff all the time. We could watch YouTube; it'd be great. You can learn a lot of things from YouTube, and it is. But I mean, I still think it gives you a chance to develop a little bit of skill, without trying to say, well, this guy does it this way exactly. But it also helps, though. I mean, if you get stuck in a rut or you see something, you're like, hey, man, I can do it this way, and it'll work too.
We spoke to Tanner Leeser on the last episode, and he was talking about that Trizac, the stuff he used to spin Silverleaf. He said he wanted to figure that out on his own.
Yeah.
He didn't want nobody to tell him, and then he saw Loki was using something. He's like, "Don't tell me what it is. I want to figure it out on my own."
I mean, honestly, to me, I mean, it's gratifying to be able to figure something out. It really is.
Yeah.
There's a group of us, and we, joke around the Hillbilly Paint Mafia.
Yeah.
And it's not really location based, but it's more mental based.
Mental based, yeah.
And what it is, our number one saying, and I'm going to break the PG-13 rating here, but it's fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Because that is the easiest way to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And how'd you get into pinstriping, Anthony?
My dad.
Your dad pinstriped or what?
No. He's just a car painter. He's been a painter his whole life.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's how we got to Nashville. He was
super cool guy too.
Yeah, super cool.
Jay's great.
Yeah.
But we came down. He's just always a painter. He was into pinstriping, but he wasn't a pinstriper.
Yeah.
So just over the years,
He worked for GM. Though,
he worked for GM. He was a painter. Still paints to this day.
Nice.
Got a nice little shop at home. It's a sweet little shop. Sweet little setup. Really is.
Yeah,
really cool
but he was just always into pinstriping.
Yeah, I remember when I met your dad for the first time and went over to his house, and his shop is awesome. And, got invited into the house, into the viewing room. His dad has a room.
Yeah, not very many people make it to the viewing room.
Yeah,
set up.
You gotta be special to get
You got to be in.
house
Yeah,
to the
that's
viewing
a hand invitation.
He's got all the
there.
David Hyde towers hanging up.
Yeah, there's two chairs
wow.
in there. The lighting is just perfect, and he's going there.
So my dad wasn't a pinstriper, but he would go to these pinhead meets and panel jams and stuff like that in the mid '90s.
Yeah, I mean, you
whenever
can
it
see
started
that somebody
like
that has a passion and love for it without even doing it. I mean, really, it's that cool. And I mean, even when he comes over to our little hillbilly brush bashers or whatever,
I met him last time.
He's right there, right beside us, cracking jokes, busting balls, hanging out, talking about all of his experiences, stuff. There's people around that he's got to meet that we don't, we haven't got to meet yet, or that passed on, and telling the stories. That's what keeps it going.
I wish I would have got into it earlier because he was into it.
Amen,
He was trying to get me into it for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
He was into it for a long time, but when you're young, I was playing guitar, man.
Yeah.
I was playing in metal bands. I didn't want to stripe, so I didn't start striping until I was 30 years old.
Yeah. Switch gears a little bit here. We're talking about getting into it at a young age. If you guys, with pinstriping, it seems a lot of people end up kind of gravitating to lettering because it's a natural progression. You want to learn how to letter, especially if you're at a show at a rally. Someone's like, "Hey, can you put my
that's the
name
name
on my
of the
bike?"
game, man. Is personalization. I mean, that's what the pinstripe game comes down to. It's
The
sheer
general public,
personalization.
Because everybody's got the Me Too bike.
care about pinstripes nearly as much as soon as you put their name on something.
Yeah, that's it. You
That's
put
their
your
thing.
name on something. That's where it's at. Or their road name, or the nickname of their bike, or their car. Whatever it is.
Their nickname from high school football or whatever.
Absolutely.
It was.
That's where it's at. But that's
you
always
can
been
throw
that way.
pinstripes on a motorcycle, but the moment you put Joe on the back,
It's theirs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's theirs, and
Absolutely.
their eyes light up. You can see it in their eyes. They're so happy.
Oh yeah, and
So you have to be like a jack of all trades to do this stuff, right?
It helps. I mean, it does. It's hard to go to a show or an event or anything as I can only do pinstripes, or I can only, only do letters. And everybody's got a different skill set at it, or a different version of where they're at the time that they're doing it. But man, just keep on pushing through it because you're gonna be that guy that'll come. I mean, I'm starting to look at that fuel can of Bob's casual lettering. Love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I
Bob's
wish
got
I
some cool lettering.
Wish I could letter casual that good. I still can't do it 30
He
years.
can't spell, but he can let
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I misspell everything on purpose, so people look it on the internet and be like, "Hey, you screwed that up." I'm like, I did that on purpose. I graduated from Nauvoo, Illinois. And to kind of go off what Anthony said, I wish I would have started a lot younger too. Because everybody's on a path, and you never stop learning and growing, and that's why I love going to these events because you always learn something from everybody.
That's where I was going to chime in. That's on the events. I mean, I started learning early on, 13 years old and stuff like that. But I wish I knew about panel jams and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I made my first panel jam when I met Anthony in Louisville.
Zonesville.
I mean, the Zonesville Crawdads. But I mean, that was in 2013.
Oh, that's cool.
That was the very first panel jam I ever attended. Never knew of such a thing. I never painted a
We always thought he was a woman because we knew him online.
Tracy?
Yeah, they did.
We
Swear,
knew
I
him
never posted
online, but he
pictures of
never
myself
had any
ever.
pictures of himself up
No.
there. So we felt like we got catfished because he shows up and he's like, "I'm Tracy. I'm friends with you on Facebook." And I was like, oh, I thought you were a lady.
You're a dude.
And he looked and he was like, I don't know, maybe I am.
And it's weird, as we all know, like when you get into the painting and you can't talk to your family and friends about it because they don't understand it. You start talking about paints and brushes and styles and like, okay, that sounds cool. And you lose them after about 15 seconds. But when you go to these events, we just geek out and start talking about
too,
this
but
stuff.
even your family and your friends, they're going to tell you that it looks great. And for the most part, it does. I mean, but, guys that do it, they're going to, hey, man, try this or do that, or you just see something. And it pushes you. And I tell Anthony this all the time. I mean, we spend a lot of time in cars driving around together, but, you see somebody else's work and it just pushes you to do something. And I tell him all the time, like, man, if I would have seen your work 20 years ago, I would have tried that. I have no idea where to start on something like what he does or what Freddie does. I mean, I know what works around the door handle on a 56 Chevrolet, and I know what works on a 2018 Street Glide, but other than that, when it's on a panel, I mean, to me, I feel like I push out the same thing all the time because I don't know what to put on a panel. I don't have that. The creativity is there, but not in the aspect of the way you guys see it. The new generation coming in, I'll say, and I look forward to seeing it so much. It's so cool to see because, I mean, it's freaking mind-blowing to see what you guys come up with, really.
It's kind of intimidating. Like when I first got into it, like you go to these events like at the Chicago Brush Masters and you know who like the heavy hitters are. Like there's Jack Lindenberger, there's Bob Bahanic, there's Tramp Warner.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're like, holy cow.
Yeah, 30 years of doing this. I still do the same thing I remember the first time I met Steve Shizaka. I was in Madison, Wisconsin doing a Goldwing event out there, and there was 10 pinstripers in a corral. And I mean, Steve Baylor, Dave Letterfly. Yeah, I mean, I was I'd always, because like I told you the other day about Steve's work, and the guys that I watched when I was growing up, and Steve was one of those guys. And I mean, I walk up to him, and Steve and I was the first two people in there that morning. And I just I remember never forget what I said to him because I was embarrassed. I'm like, dude, it's like meeting John Travolta, man. I said, you're just that guy to me. I said, because I've watched your work and looked at your work on all these bikes for 20 years, and I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah,
super great guy. He came over and helped me hang my sign up on my booth and hung out with me for a while.
Oh, nice,
super cool guy.
With the panel jams that we all go to, have you guys ever run into any of the John Travoltas of the paint world with any egos?
No. It's never. No. It's absolutely amazing to experience it that way. These guys that you look up to, everybody's got a little skittish and a little off, run up and meeting them or whatever. You've never met them or whatever. But
you can be in a rut. Like I've been in a rut for a while, especially just panel rut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just no artist, just doing the same thing over and over, basically. But you come to one of these, and it's almost like it's like a refresh in your tank. Because when you get home,
you're
right,
exactly.
You're like, man, I seen Blake do this, or I seen Bob do that,
exactly.
Or Joe Mahalik. You're on cloud nine when you get back home.
It takes a while though because you're sore because you laugh all weekend. My stomach hurts for a couple days.
Well, I was starstruck with Bob. I just thought Bob was the biggest guy in the world.
It's a rugged good.
So the reason that I come to this one, and like I said, this is my 8th year here.
Yeah.
But there was a time when Pinstripers Garage was great. Not so much anymore. There's too much negative Nancy's on there and stuff like that. But it used to be
a critique channel.
Yeah, it used to be great when Facebook first got rolling and stuff. It was a great place to meet other pinstripers.
Sure.
And they did those secret Santa swaps. You remember that?
Yes.
So I did one, and I drew Bob Anderson. Well, man, I'm like fresh on Facebook, and I've seen Bob Anderson's work. Like it's good, or I thought it was good then. I don't know about now, but it's But I thought it was just oh my gosh, Bob's super cool. I drew Bob, so I did something, and it was probably I don't know, 8 years ago. It probably looked terrible, but
it's one of them cool planets with all that space pinstriping.
He probably looked at it, threw it in the trash. But
I've got one I use for a doorstop at the house.
But what was so funny is they send the address. Well, the address they sent was Cahokia, Missouri. And Cahokia is the smallest town on the face of the planet. And I just happened, my dad's family was there. Right. So we used to go there when I was a kid.
Sure.
So I just thought it was cool. So I wrote a little note to Bob in there like, hey, small world, like you live in Cahokia. And then Bob called me out of the blue. And this is when Nauvoo must have been first taken off. Because I remember getting off the phone, and Bob had called me and was like, man, and we talked for an hour or something. I didn't even know you.
Yeah.
And we talked for about an hour, and he was like, man, you should really come up here to this panel jam. We're getting going and all this stuff like that. And I was like, I remember getting off the phone, and I was like,
being so jazzed up.
Oh, man, I just got excited.
I'm going to pack my bags now, so I'm ready.
Exactly. Bob Anderson? Bob Anderson? Now I realize he's not shit, but before that, it was like the Bob Anderson?
Oh, you guys are killing me. That's funny. I can still remember when I opened up that panel. It came in the mail, and the panel is awesome. And I always talk about the journey that we're all on, because we never stop learning.
I like Journey. They're a good band.
Yeah, I love Journey too.
Stop believing, Bob.
Yeah. Don't get me singing. But I can still vividly remember. I had to drive somewhere. I was picking my daughter up, and so I'm waiting for her. And I open this panel, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's an amazing piece. For
Anthony, it's great.
Yeah, especially for this guy. But the note he had written.
I just went to his house. Noticed the panel was nowhere to be found. But everyone that Tracy McKenzie painted was hanging in the house.
Yours is up above my bed.
Yeah.
Look, mine's in the bathroom.
Under the bed.
They say mine's in the bathroom, but I've never been invited to the house. So.
We do have quite a collection of pretty cool stuff at the house. My wife, she loves it as much as I do. But the note that Anthony had written on the back of that panel, I'm reading it, I literally teared up. We talk about the camaraderie, the friendship, and the brotherhood, and it really is. We call it our paint family, but it's more than a paint family. It's literally your family. I love our get-togethers because it's family and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a blast.
I really look forward to this weekend.
Just so y'all know, Bob, if you go to listen to this and you lose your voiceover and it's because you're doing this.
I have a problem where I'm kind of fidgety.
I just want to let you know, when you turn your head, you lose it.
So Bob needs a wireless mic because he's got a stage presence, but we're sitting here.
He needs a Garth Brooks mic.
Yeah, he does.
I need that Extreme Pro model headless.
He needs a CDL is what he needs. A Bluetooth headset.
When Anthony was talking about the Nauvoo panel jam, and I think it's one of the better kept secrets in the pinstriping world.
1,000%.
Yes, I appreciate that. I really do. And it's a small group of people. And John McCarty, I can't say enough about John. I love this guy. I just love John McCarty. All right, he's the third man I've ever loved. And but anyway, he goes out of his way to help organize this to the nth degree. And Nauvoo, as I kind of talked about briefly earlier, has an extremely, extremely rich history. And there's a lot of tourism. For a town of 1,000 people, we have enough hotel rooms and Airbnb for everybody as a resident. You can stay at a hotel room in this little bitty beautiful town of Nauvoo. Anyway, John has an amazing shop across the street. It's called Outlaw Tees, and he puts out, in my opinion, the best car show T-shirts in the business. And he is an unbelievable.
I thought he made iced tea.
He makes iced tea as well. Outlaw Tees. Yeah, all right. I hope this background noise isn't coming up. I look behind us. We got all the other artists that look like they don't have clothes on right now. But anyway, we know. It's a big expense. Like I know when we go to Cleveland or Chicago or Louisville or Kansas City, it's an expense, because you've got the travel, the hotel, the food. Then you get there, you want to buy stuff, and one of the things that helps makes Nauvoo so much fun for a couple of reasons is we rent this huge house, and I don't know how big it is. I'm going to guess 4,000 square foot. It sleeps
at least.
We could easily sleep 20 people in here, and it's right across from John's T-shirt shop.
Where he makes iced tea.
Where he makes iced tea and some pretty cool T-shirts. But we cover the cost of the lodging. So the artists that we invite in, except for Tracy, we made him pull.
Yeah, we had
to make him pay full retail.
I don't understand the deal with it, but I mean, it was like 6 or 7 phone calls. I got dodged. I showed up anyway.
We still love him.
Hey,
he ain't going
there's
away.
a room down the road. You can stay down there. So that's where I'm at.
So we cover the expenses. We try and do as much of the cooking as possible. We always try and go out to eat one night. Speak of the devil, there's John McCarty coming on in. He's coming in hot.
Say hi, John.
Hot. So we've been bragging him up. But that's part of the other thing that really makes our panel jam so special is we try and lessen the burden of making a trip here because we are in the middle of nowhere. We really are. But we try and lessen the burden to where
basically what he's saying is we have to pay people to come.
Not that great of an event.
I'll take my money in cash.
Exactly.
Cash only or Bitcoin.
We give you debit cards.
Yeah. We'll be taking square payments next time we'll be taking square payments.
PayPal.
We'll take shekels in here.
Shekels.
In Nauvoo, Illinois. We'll take a shekel, a button, throw buttons at our feet.
Piece of 8.
So it's a 2-day event, right? It's a Saturday afternoon, or is it mostly just Sunday?
The
Why in
festival.
the hell they've been here since Thursday?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
We showed
I
up
rolled in
Thursday.
at Thursday.
We showed up on Thursday
Took 2
to
days
get
to
together
wrangle everybody
and,
into one
and
house.
paint and
The car show is one day. They have one auction, but we're here 3 days.
Yeah. So the car show award starts at 4:00, and we start our auction at 3:00, and so we're kind of limited on time because we don't want to take too long because everybody at the car show wants to get there, see who wins the awards, and then get on the road so they can go home.
Yeah.
But we do live demonstrations down at the car show, and so people can see it, and they're like, "Holy cow, that's real pinstriping!"
Yeah, it's like watching a zoo. A tiger with a paintbrush.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a one-day car show. The next town, downriver, Hamilton, Illinois. I mean, the car show is huge. I mean, John's been putting this on forever, and it's a big event. We'll have 400 to 500 entries for the car show. So the next town, downriver, is Hamilton, Illinois. They started doing a smaller car show because so many people show up for the Festival on Wheels car show on Sunday. So they show up for the weekend. So Hamilton started doing a little car show. Well, then they get done. They all drive up here Saturday night to John's place, have a little feed. We'll be out there painting and having a good time. And then Sunday's the big one. It's the big
Festival
one for
on
the area.
Wheels. Say hi there, John.
Hi there, John.
Say your whole name because I can't.
Man, you are just like Mackenzie. He already pulled that joke.
I was covering for John in case he
Sorry.
didn't show up.
I'm John McCarty.
John
from
McCarty.
right here in Nauvoo, Illinois.
All right. And they say you were the
King of sweet tea.
previous mayor here.
That's right. My sweet tea fame was my 16 years as mayor of this town. You get that any closer, we're going to have to get engaged. Okay? Put that microphone back, Jack. No, I was a junior in high school when I started the car show.
Oh wow.
So that's 45 years ago, if you want to do
Wow.
the math. Yeah, I'm an old son of a buck. But, yep, started junior year, and now I'm heading into my senior year, so it's about time to graduate out of
And
this.
it wasn't really cars back then. It was like wagons with
Yeah,
chrome.
they were
bump cars taped
wagons,
to it.
hand carts, pretty much, yeah.
Right, yeah,
a couple
you had
tractors.
a horse with like a little bit of a chrome bit in its
Not
mouth.
that
That's
freaking
bump.
If anyone wanted to know how cool John McCarty is,
Drink some
there's
sweet
3 of us here that have tattoos of his face.
We'll see if we could post a picture of that somewhere.
There
so
is
y'all
also
can see
3 really stupid people here in this room, too. that would do that.
But we're not going to count those.
Yeah, there's more than 3.
Guaranteed. When we
Not
got
very
people
smart.
raising their hands behind us, they want to be counted in on the stupidness.
Yeah, somebody had to design it, too, right?
it. So how long before you started bringing the pinstripers, or was there always a pinstriper here?
Actually, Eric Campbell from Liberty, Missouri, he's been coming up here for almost 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Actually striping on location and doing jobs while he's here. So, yeah, we've always had a striper on the grounds for pretty much 30 years.
Eric Campbell.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And he's not be able to make it.
Unfortunately,
today.
there's a family medical issue this year, and he's not going to be able to make it. So we've got a few guys here that could probably step up and do a car
I
or two
brought
if they
a
need to.
brand new 2-inch paint roller.
We got it.
That's what I told Hughes doing a car right now here in town, and I told the guy if he doesn't like it, there's 10 more guys tomorrow that can fix it. So,
or at least add to it.
Yeah, I've not met Hugh yet. I like his stuff. I see his stuff online a lot.
he's pretty excited to see you too.
I see that.
He said anybody that crazy drive all the way up from Florida for this little shit show. Oh wait, is this PG friendly? I mean,
No,
can you
it's
say shit?
well.
It was 20 minutes ago when we started.
Okay.
Oops.
But
We
It
all
was till you got in here.
it completely went out the window.
we
so
all
they turned
clearly
his mic
cuss,
on.
but we try to keep it a little clean.
I was
Just
trying to talk my best Tennessee kind of language,
That's all
in
right.
Kentucky, but now we're farther south into Florida. We got really good.
And one, son.
Yeah.
You want to be Tennessee? That's what we said.
Okay.
what's
And
That's right.
That's right.
and we
say,
use
"What's
lighter
this?"
fluid to start our grills.
Oh, that's
Get out.
terrible.
Get out. Get out.
Well, actually,
He just tried to pull a propane grill around and put match light in it.
Plus propane and propane accessories.
Weber's King.
well, it's been a lot of fun so far, man. I really enjoyed myself.
I don't know. I tell you, the food around here is what's probably the best part of the whole deal. Oh, God, you got to try these cupcakes, don't you? Oh my God! Oh, aren't
I'm
they
pretty sure that
amazing?
yeah.
Yeah,
Freddie. those
I
are
wouldn't know
amazing.
about the cupcakes.
Don't even try them. They're fattening. They're fattening. You'll eat them and you'll want to keep eating for days. So, no, the food spread around here is pretty cool. That's why I come over here. I really
I
don't
got
care
served
to paint or
wieners.
not. I just got to come over and eat.
That's all you asked for.
Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry.
He walked in. He says, "All I want is the wieners."
Got it.
I actually still have a wiener on my truck if you want it from last year.
All right, folks. So y'all got to tell the story about the hot dog on
Oh
the
my
antenna.
God. Wiener man down here.
I'm pretty
Mr.
sure that
Monaco.
started in Tennessee, though.
Oh, I'm sure the wieners started way down in Tennessee.
Yeah.
somewhere.
That's hillbilly fun.
Exactly.
We
what that
do
is.
what we call hot dog in cars.
All right.
So what that is you get a lot of hot dogs
You only eat 3
and you
or 4.
hide them anywhere you can on the car. McCarty just happens to have a big old sign shop. So we hot dogged this whole shop and his car.
43. That I found.
This was last August. He said that he found them all. I don't think he did. But the one that we stuck on his antenna of his car
Not his
is
uncle
still
antenna, his
there.
antenna.
Yeah, I saw it.
Brought to you by Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs.
The wiener that won't go
365 days. This thing is just black as all get out. Still on.
10,000 miles on that trip.
It's seen
What-
more country than I have.
What kind of a hot dog was it? Y'all know the brand? It was just a store, just a regular.
It had to be.
I don't know. Freddie was a
Ballpark.
fucking hot dog.
Yeah, but
it doesn't
there's
matter.
brands. Some people get certain brands.
It doesn't matter.
Freddie's
It's been
look-
out in the elements for 1 year.
Freddie's looking for the longevity of the
Yeah, I
wiener.
wonder
That way he
about-
can go back to
See
Florida.
how long it
and
lasts.
Research this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm a hot dog that sticks with me for a while.
Listen, y'all are doing science. You don't even know it.
Yeah,
It's a little smoky now.
me and
little
Freddie
smoky.
are both cheapskates. We're both frugal. So if it was us buying it, it
Need
would have been
Bar S
like
brand.
Waltney or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But you can't hide money, so it might have been Mackenzie or Jordan that bought it, and it might have been Oscar Mayer. I don't know.
Oh, Oscar Mayer.
Highfalutin.
It was all beef.
Top of the line.
Definitely beef.
It is a very good wiener though, because it has stayed together for a long time.
Yeah, just imagine if you ate that wiener, how long it would stay with you.
I'm going to get the bun out tomorrow, and a little ketchup and relish, and see if old Monaco here can finish it off for me. It's about time. You're always doing crazy stuff. This is about time. You do something really crazy.
You should grind it up and put it on a pizza. He would never know.
Yeah, he'd
I don't
never
think
know.
you
Like
can grind
powder,
it.
like-
I
don't
think
think you
you're going to have
You can't sneak nothing by me.
you're gonna have to get a concrete grinder, because that thing's on there. It's not coming off. Oh man.
Well, I think that's what makes these things fun. Like all the
Well, it wasn't fun when I was finding
Shenanigans,
wieners
yeah,
in my
yeah.
shop
What's
6
that
months later.
restaurant you like to go to with all
Like
the
to
stuff
blow
on
my
the
nose,
wall?
reach in a Kleenex box, and there's a wiener in there. That's not a good feeling.
I'm glad I didn't drive.
Midnight, man.
But I don't think the Mercury can handle a bunch of fucking wieners.
My
in
wife
it.
was mowing the yard, and there's a
Pretty
wiener
sure
stuck
you
out the
would-
back of
the
the
Mercury
mower.
had all
I'm like,
kinds of
oh
wieners.
my God, what did you guys? You hit everything.
Yeah, Bob Anderson got it too.
Yeah.
He came to Tennessee. He got the same treatment.
Yeah,
Oh,
exact
nice.
same treatment.
Do I got wieners in my car right now?
We don't
Hey,
know
buddy,
yet.
I'll tell you something. If you don't have them, we don't like you.
You better have at least one, Freddie.
All right, I'll check when I get home.
Yeah.
Man,
My 14-year-old daughter called last night. Was like, "Hey, you want me to hot dog this car that's in the driveway?" Like, that's where we're at.
1,000%.
And I'm like, "We get you." She knows what to do.
Yeah, she takes part in all that.
Yeah, Bob took his share of hazing too. We let you in the club though.
Yeah,
good
for
time.
sure.
Like I said, we always thought you were like highfalutin, like
yeah.
better than you were. And then we
You
met you and
found
we were
out
like,
fast.
He's a
we
hot
seen
dog
his
guy.
work and we were like, wow,
Hot
this is
dog.
it.
This is horrible.
This is all we got.
He's getting the Gauntly brand hot
Well, I
dogs.
think since the dog bite, he paints a lot smoother though.
the dog bite has
took the
helped
shake out, man.
oh, a dog bit you, right?
Yeah.
What kind of a dog was it?
A mean one.
Where'd he bite you?
Oh, on my right arm.
man.
Just a striping arm. You know,
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
big deal.
you don't need it.
Yeah, it messed up my love life for a while. But anyway,
Listen, his shower babies had to take a back seat for a couple
Exactly.
days.
Shorter strokes. Shorter strokes. Well, guys, I have to go back to work. I appreciate
Oh, yeah,
y'all
we
being
heard
here
that.
Thank you so
for
much
me.
for
You
days.
guys are a great group. Well, for the most part of you, you're a pretty good group now. But it's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Weekend ain't
We're
over
gonna
yet.
show these
Oh,
guys
yeah,
what
this is
real
just
paint
warming
looks
up.
like.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Freddie's
Our
warming
new
up
guy
his
is. I'm impressed, man. He was
you know how
he was
mad he is
whipping
when
out a
he
bunch of
found
stuff last night. I'm like, damn,
He's so mad.
he's ready for the speech. So
Yeah, he's definitely ready for the speech.
yeah. I think the way the crowd's going right now, we could probably have 25,000 people out in the crowd tomorrow
Wow.
for the awards.
Yeah.
So, Freddie,
He's
no
gonna wear your
pressure.
headphones so you look
no
really
pressure,
cool,
Freddie.
Doug.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
Well.
we don't have teleprompters, so
that's all right.
You can have to memorize
I could be
all
loud.
Well, Anthony and I'll write it on our chests and show it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
flashcards.
But Joe's going to sign it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, once he finds his pencil.
Mahalik's going to sign it. It'll be ready in about 3 days.
At least 3 days.
All right.
Maybe 3
All right,
days.
John.
Have fun, and lady.
Bye, John.
See you, John.
Have a safe trip across the street.
We'll see you in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we'll get that. You going to pull it out so you guys can start setting up whatever you want to do over there.
Nicest guy in the world, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, until you meet another guy.
Nicest guy in the world.
So when'd you start pinstriping, Bob?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
About 6 hours ago. Been at it all day. No, I probably started somewhere around 2009, 2010. Just wanted to try it. Well, of all things, my dad was a truck driver when I was a kid growing up, and there was a gentleman here in Nauvoo, Illinois. His name was Don Beasley, and he was an old school sign painter. And I can still remember my dad taking trucks and semis down there to Don, and he would be lettering those doors up under a shade tree, and it just always stuck with me. But anyway, so long story short, I was at work, and I was just thinking about that, and I was drawing out flames and stuff like that, and I was like, man, I wonder if I could try pinstriping. So I went on Dick Blick's website, ordered a brush, a couple cans of One Shot, and went on YouTube, and I was hooked, and then I was just too dumb to give up. So here we are today.
I think that's most of us. Too dumb to give up.
I decided early on I didn't want to dig ditches or tote trash.
Yeah, you've worked for yourself for a long time.
Yeah.
What do you suppose you'd be doing if you weren't painting full time?
Honestly, when I was in school, I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to work for Disney so bad.
Oh, really?
That's what I wanted.
Oh, animation.
Yeah,
You
animation.
You just
okay.
seen like
That's
what we always joke about.
But
like,
literal rural Kentucky. I mean, small town. There's, when I graduated, there's nothing like that around. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to go to, what was it, the little ads you used to get in the mail, Pittsburgh School of Arts, where can you draw this turtle? Or this
Yeah,
thing?
I've seen those.
I'd done that stuff and got, they sent me a letter back, and I thought, oh yeah, man. Then they tell my dad how much it's going to cost. He's like, well, if we can sell your little brother, maybe you can go. And I just went to get a job, and I was just end up right there. So I was working, and I was working at a city, actually. I worked for the city of Russell, working there, pinstriping cars on the weekends at cruise-ins.
Nice.
Done it since I was 14 years old.
Nice.
But animation would be awesome. Still.
that's what we always joke about. Like you being an artist. Like when people come over to my house and they're like, "Oh, you're such an artist," and I'm like, "I don't think you understand." Like I got a buddy of mine. You can tell him. Draw a camel dick on a corn dog, with Chewbacca.
I mean, there's
him, and
there's artists out there. I mean,
it's
it's the same thing as what you guys see. Like I was saying earlier, you guys see on the panels and the drop shadows and the colors and the use of color. It's the same to me. You guys asked me to draw.
Show pony. You can call me show pony. I'd be like, yeah, I'm show pony.
Right. But I mean, still, it's the same thing. I mean, you guys asked me to draw characters. I can do that all day long, but anything
you
else.
You just did Steven Seagal.
Well,
in about 3 minutes.
Well, it was Steven
we said,
Seagal,
hey, can you do Steven Seagal, but like a seagal? Like get a Steven Seagal?
I mean, I get it, yeah.
Okay, and it's painted on a 4 foot by 4 foot panel.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to hang on somebody's mantle.
I don't know about that, but
that quick.
Well,
and what got you drawing them figurines early on? Was it like comics or?
I seriously, I watched Looney Tunes every day. I literally did watch every day I got up, every day I come home.
And you try to draw like Daffy Duck or one of them?
No, my grandparents thought it was funny. They literally they would pull up the newspaper and say, "Hey, here's Snuffy Smith, draw that," or Garfield or Bugs Bunny or whatever. And I did. So then after doing that and getting out of high school, I went to work for Airbrush T-shirt shops. So that was where honing all the cartoon skills at, because making airbrush T-shirts at tourist traps, you got like 10, 15 minutes to knock a shirt out and do a next one to make your money.
Yeah.
So you learn to draw all the Looney Tunes characters or Dale Earnhardt 3 and all that stuff. So
Yeah, airbrush really kicked. I used to see that all the time in different malls, like a guy that would put the script real quick.
That's him.
And the little ocean scene.
He had stores. He's amazing to watch. He hasn't pulled out his airbrush here this weekend. No. He'll pull out his airbrush. He'll stare you dead in the eyes. You know how when you walk a dog and the dog stares at you while they're doing their business in the middle of the yard, and they stare right at you and their head shakes? That's him with the airbrush. He'll stare at you right in the eyes, and he'll be airbrushing over here, and it's all the way to the right. He's not even watching what he's airbrushing. He just stares at you right in the eyes. And he puts number 3, Intimidator, anything you can imagine. Tasmanian Devils, anything you can imagine. Like any Looney Tunes stuff, desert scene with your name on it, just without even looking at you. It's amazing to watch.
Is that one of the first things you picked up, though, that was like paint-wise?
No, I picked up paintbrushes, actually. Literally, I was fortunate enough that my dad was one of those people. He was so cool about him and my mom both. They were so cool. They were like, look, if you're in here drawing on your bedroom walls and paint, where you're not out drinking, you're not doing drugs, you're not out getting in trouble, which was the God's honest truth. That's what I was doing. Literally, I was drawing on bedroom walls and on paper, and they would go buy me playing baloney ball. That's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother Kentucky story.
Man, it is. But they would buy me, like Dad would come in. He's driving a truck. He'd come in over the road driving trucks, buy me a little can of paint here or there. Or I'd find some in somebody's garage. And
no, it's fine.
I'd find paint in Dad's garage or whatever, and paint stuff on my walls. That's what it is. So I have my friends would say, "Hey man, can you come and paint this on my bedroom wall?" And it, literally, 13 years old, I was going to their house and paint stuff on their bedroom walls.
And you guys just got back from, what was the show? Sturgis?
Yeah, Sturgis. There's Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South 82nd.
Never heard of it. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's a horse and carriage race held in the Midwest.
There's about 4 motorcycles there.
During
It's really cool.
Mayfly mating season.
Mayflies, oh my God. And roughly how many bikes did y'all do while you were out there?
We said we lost count at 250. That's what we officially said. But it's different than what you got Dan Cott and Monty and those guys downtown. I mean, what they're doing and what we're doing are two totally world opposite things. You know, and hopefully
they both involve paint and brushes, but that's about it. In common.
It really is. It's a completely different concept of what Harley Davidson and Jesse James is trying to do for where they're at, where we're located at. So that's what it is. I mean, I don't really hate talking about it, but I don't like talking about it and the fact that other pinstripers that pay to be at a venue like that and have that kind of money tied up in it. They, we're not there to make them upset, but also it was an opportunity.
Yeah.
And just like I treat it at dealerships back home, and dealerships want to pay me to come to their dealership as an attraction or something like that.
Yeah.
We're basically zoo animals.
Same concept.
Nice.
It's
so y'all are putting on a show.
In the end. 100%. We are putting on a show.
We put on a show, and we treat it that way because, one, we're having a blast. And the people that come, they're having a blast. It is. They're there at Sturgis. They're there to have a good time. They've spent out just as much money as we spent out to be there, if not more most of the time. I mean, trailer and bikes, renting campers, whatever. We're just fortunate enough that Harley Davidson pays for it.
Well, I think it's interesting because there's more than one way to make a buck with this stuff. I think
absolutely.
And it's cool to watch the different creative ways.
If we could do what we do in Sturgis 5 times a year,
that would be.
I would 100%.
That's what we would do for a living 5 times a year. Then the rest of the year would be doing panel jams and putting on our own panel jams at each other's houses and having that kind of fun.
100%.
It's a really cool concept what they came up with, and when they called me about it, and we went over it and over and over it, several different phone conversations.
Yeah.
Then I made a couple phone calls because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to handle the workload by myself, and they knew that they didn't expect me to either. So I called up Anthony, and I called up another guy, Ray Spencer. I called Bob Anderson too.
We tried to get Bob Anderson.
Tried to get Bob. Bob had
he's a too highfalutin for us.
Way falutin.
Highfalutin. Super falutin.
I'm not sure how high he was, but Mahalik was
I
in the
did
room.
not have any Mahalik's cupcakes.
Okay.
No, unfortunately, I was not able to pull it off logistically.
Last year was our first year there at Sturgis, and it was very eye opening to say the least. I mean, it really was.
We're 2 years deep now.
Yeah, we're 2 years deep, which isn't a lot, but it's amazing to sit back and look at it and see what we accomplished just being there once, which was literally fly by the seat of our pants because they called last year. Sturgis is always the first weekend of August, the first or second week of August, so August the 5th through the 14th or something like that.
And who was the other fellow that y'all got?
Ray Spencer.
Ray Spencer?
Yeah, Ray Spencer.
You got to say it right.
Ray Spencer.
Sweet Dick Ray.
Right.
Okay. That's what we call him.
Everybody's got nicknames.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah,
we call him that for no reason. It just
call
sounds
him Rayberry
good. Sometimes you get a nickname.
Ray's from the town where Mayberry was based off of.
Oh, cool.
Mount Airy, North Carolina, which on the TV show it was a Mount Pilot, but it's actually in real life it's called Pilot Mountain. So Ray's from that area of North Carolina. But yeah, so he's a super cool guy. Super cool dude.
Nice.
And extremely talented.
Yeah,
he is
very, very talented.
He's got a extensive sign background, doing work for the PGA back 20, 30 years ago, traveling all over the country doing sign work for those guys, and then his stuff that he does at home anyway.
I like how it always kind of goes back to sign. In the end, it seems like to always go back to sign.
You got to know how to letter.
Yeah, you do. I mean, but that's
the
thing, though. So the sign shop days, that's how people made a living. I mean, it was because cruise-ins, and for most part of the country, cruise-ins and car shows and bike shows only happen, during the summer months of the year. So what are you going to do the rest of the 8 months out of the year?
Yeah.
So sign shops, those guys were the guys who was making signs all year long, and then they would go out and hit a few car shows, a few cruises, make some extra money, and that's where it would draw people like me. And I was walking by them, I had no idea about the sign shop. Yeah. And the reason that I got into sign shop work, so to speak, was my dad had rented a mechanic's garage in the back of a sign shop that used to be a skating rink in our town. Dudes had signs there. Now, the very first plotter I seen, I can't remember the number. It was a Gerber, but I mean, it literally looked like it had an X-Acto blade clamped to a rail, and I mean, I'll never forget it because I see them now, and I'm like, man, that thing was just as crude as all get out.
Yeah.
But that's where I started lettering. I was hand painting handicap signs for a local Kmart parking lot when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
because they're like, oh, if you can draw like that, well, surely you can letter. And the guy hands me a brush, knew nothing about a lettering quill, knew nothing about one shot. I just thought, well, these guys are letting me paint. This is cool. And,
and that's where you just flew high.
30 years later, I thought about the child labor laws. I was back here making 50 handicap parking signs for Kmart, and I thought it was great because they gave me a Twinkie and a Pepsi. My dad's in the back turning wrenches, and I'm like, yeah, I'm standing up here in the air conditioning, pops, having a great time. But that's where that part of it started at.
Well, that's cool. We're doing this mostly to kind of learn the history on stuff. I know Jack wanted to try to get some stories of some of the folks that started it off, and
oh yeah, there's so many good stories. Like I said, when you meet the old guys, the veteran guys, like Chizeka, and I keep bringing up Steve because Steve and I we're not really close, but I learned a lot about the guy.
Yeah.
Well, I think you got to go back a whole lot farther than this century. Back in the day when
carriage works and things like that.
There was I feel like there was like 4 or 5 big names that were like previous to even these guys, right? So there was like Dutch, Tommy the Greek.
Yeah, Tommy the Greek. There was Dutch. There was Ed Roth. But you're taking
there was a
guys,
whole California.
There's a whole California
that's
move.
where,
but when you take into that, and I always explain it to this way when other people we get into talking about that. I'm like, you think the population that's in California and the car culture that come out of California compared to rural Missouri, rural Kentucky, or even rural Tennessee.
Yeah.
In the 50s, in the 40s, these guys are out there. But that's what it is. If you've got 10 people, chances are 3 of them's going to do some stupid shit. Well, if you're in California, you got 300 million people in 1940. Well, chances are 100,000 is going to do some stupid shit, and they're going to do it on cars. The other 50 is going to do it on cars.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where it came from, and looking and learning at that and seeing all that stuff in the airbrush T-shirts. Ed Roth. Which here's my age. Leave it to Beaver. One of
Come on, Wally.
One of Ed Roth's monster shirts was in the window on one of the episodes, and Beav was trying to save so much money to buy one of them custom airbrush monster shirts from Ed Roth. And when I saw it when I was a kid, I was like, that's dumb.
Now you're older.
I
You
grew up
think
in
it's
the
the coolest
80s.
thing in the world.
I remember that, and I'm like, I remember watching that. I didn't know that's what that was, and then having 20 years in the t-shirt airbrushing, I'm like, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
But there's so many even like guys out there with all the other stuff that we talk about all the time. That's done it for 50 years. You just don't know because they're not like mainstream guys. You don't see them in magazines. They're not chasing what we call chasing ink.
They're making a living.
They're making a living, and they're phenomenal artists. Absolutely phenomenal people.
Yeah.
Give me a choice between making a living or getting published. I want to make a living.
Well, a guy told me years ago.
I want to sign checks.
I would say probably in my mid-20s, a guy told me a long time ago. He's like, look, he said, you can get in all the magazines you want. He said, but I will 100% guarantee you that magazine's not going to pay your electric bill next month. And after being in a couple magazines, I don't get anybody calling me, hey, man, was you on the cover of American Iron Magazine in October of 2016? Never had that phone call.
Yeah.
And when guys come into my shop, ask me,
and
so when guys come into my shop, so at home, that's what I do full time. Is I paint a lot of Harleys, but I do.
I saw you on a magazine cover. It was a Playgirl.
That was a different
Mad Magazine.
I'll never forget that.
That was a different one.
It was a combination between Mad Magazine and Playgirl.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing I ever seen.
They called it hustling. A lot of dudes in there. I didn't know what it was for.
We were having this conversation this weekend, and I'm sure people come up to you, Anthony, and like, oh, you're an unbelievable artist. I literally cringe when people call me an artist. I've never once considered myself an artist. I can do some lines, some lettering.
I don't. Yeah, that's what's cool
lines,
about. That's what's cool
I can
about
paint something. If somebody shows, if I see a picture or something, I can paint it. But that's what I see all the time when somebody's like, well, you're an artist, and I'm like, I just watched him draw Steven Seagal.
Yeah, but to me, that's still an artist too. If somebody can look at something, and even if I'm sitting there looking at this tree that's outside, and I'm going to paint this tree, well, I'm not looking to paint this tree to look exactly like that tree, but I'm going to use that tree as a reference or whatever. That's still art, man. Because not everybody can do that.
I paint that tree; it looks like a Twinkie.
It's okay, but who wouldn't want a Twinkie tree in their backyard?
See
come
what
on.
I'm saying though? That's what
Blake's over here. We're both on the diet train, but I would take a Twinkie tree today.
Yeah, I do like Twinkies. I like the little cupcakes.
Absolutely.
They got hot pumpkin spice ones out right now.
We don't need none of that.
I'm gonna basic white girl the hell out of those things.
I just see
our
advertisement. Friend list just.
It says pumpkin. There's pumpkin spice Twinkies, man. I'm not scared.
You go find Christopher. You heard
this is an honest podcast. This isn't. I'm not here to puff my chest. No. I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna drink a pumpkin spice latte while I eat that pumpkin spice.
You go find
Twinkie.
Christopher. She'll buy you one. I promise.
Be scared.
You find her, she'll help you out.
Well, this is going to
Guarantee
become
she
a
knows
snack
it's
podcast pretty quickly.
There's nothing
Pretty
wrong with
close,
that.
man.
We're sitting here with a bowl of pico de gallo right in front of us. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we eat, and every once in a while we do a little painting at our panel jam. But
We do a lot of painting. There's a lot of painting in
Yeah,
those
we've
3
done a
days.
lot.
Yeah.
We've done a lot in
Yeah.
what?
there's every
A
bit
day?
of 30, 40 panels laying around here painted.
And I enjoy all the other panel jams that I've went
Absolutely.
to and get-togethers and stuff like that. But something about Nauvoo is just so small.
Well, I mean, they all have their own vibe based on the people that come.
It
And I mean,
feels
you know,
like
but
family.
yeah, exactly. It does. Absolutely.
Do you remember? Do you remember the Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
You remember the movie The Breakfast
Yeah.
Club where they come in and they're like explaining it and they're like, you know, they're talking about Judd Nelson, they're talking about Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
And, like they're
Yeah.
explaining what their spot is in that club.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the stoner, this is the brain, I feel like when I come to Nauvoo, everybody's got that.
Sure.
And there's
I
not
see
another
that.
panel jam I go to that has that feeling. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the thing. It's a smaller group of people. You know, we've all done Cleveland in the past. I think except for Freddie. But I mean, you know, you got on average 75 artists at Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
80 people in New York up there for Syracuse when it
Yep.
was Artie's party. And they still have 75 or 80 now with Paul Puzza putting it on. You know, so you get all these big panel jams, and it's great because they're huge. And I mean, you know,
They're a good time.
They're a great time, and you still got, you know, like all of us show up at Cleveland. You know, we're still going to hang out together in a hotel that evening, but we're going to hang out with other people as well. But
Yeah.
you know, these are guys you see on a more frequent basis, talk to on a more frequent basis, and you're around them a little closer here for sure. Absolutely, for sure.
Well, I dig it. I'm going to try to do another different one as well next year. So I guess I'll figure out time-wise and travel and all that. Luckily, I was able
You
to.
said you were thinking about Syracuse.
Syracuse.
We went to Syracuse a couple of years. It's in a new building.
It's a new
now.
building, a new guy, you know, that's putting it on. It's still the same artists are going to, you know, Batista and Rooster
went twice.
and
It was a
Jen.
good time.
It was a great time. I had no problems.
It was a great
Artie Artie took care of everybody. He done a great
Yeah,
job. He
yeah.
just said it was his time to pass it on, let somebody else do it.
And
You
it
know?
is.
Paul,
It's-
Paul Puzza.
Yeah, Paul Puzza.
What's
yeah.
funny, it is so funny because artists come from all over the place to go to
Well,
these panel jams.
yeah.
But here in Nauvoo, it's all like southern kind of Midwest.
Yeah.
When you go to Syracuse, it's all the you know, the Northeast
The thing-
guys,
the thing
and
with-
they're awesome.
Yeah, they're
it's
great.
just
They're
completely
all right.
different.
And I mean,
vibe.
they got their whole vibe. You know, you got the New York guys, you know, Long Island, all that stuff up there. They're a whole different breed of people, but they don't shed a minute of coming and hanging out with us, doing all the same antics and you know, just their version of it. It's just
Yeah.
great. I mean, you know, Al comes in making his own wine and having cheese and stuff like that. We come in with, you know, fruit juices and Slim Jims.
Fake teeth.
Yeah, fake teeth.
Yeah.
We
it was
share.
good.
We share. But the reason we don't do Syracuse though is because of Sturgis. You know, because Syracuse is usually in July.
Oh, same
and
time.
Sturgis is in August. You know, 1st of August. So we're ramping up for that, getting everything done. You know, because you got it's not that it's huge, but for me anyway, where I paint full time, I've got to make sure I've got all the work done in the shop and out of the shop and ready to go. So that way I can spend 2 days packing up. And you know, these guys drive from Ray drives from North Carolina, Anthony drives from Nashville to my place, and we load my truck and my trailer up, and we go to Sturgis from there. So you know, then when we go in November, we're going to Galveston, Texas. So I'll be driving to Anthony's place, and then Ray's going to do, you know, come over there. Then we'll get in the truck and we'll all drive down to Galveston, Texas for the Lone Star Rally. So it's a cool experience to be able to do that. But just, you know, if I was going out west and was going to go do anything, like literally was trying to go see my wife's family. They live in mid Missouri. And I thought, well, hey, we'll stop by there on the way through there. We'll just go to Nauvoo because I've never been able to go.
I've been trying to get you here.
Yeah, you've been trying to get me for 8 years for sure.
Just because I
hardcore.
know your personality,
Yeah,
you're
right,
like
right.
me, and I know you'd enjoy
And that's
it.
the thing, you want to invite people you want to hang around with, and even some people you don't want to hang around with, you invite them anyway. Maybe they won't show up. I don't know.
Well, I thought for sure you'd been here before.
No, this is my first year. They just didn't want to tell you that because they want you to do the speech.
Yeah. Freddie.
It's the young guy gets stuck with the speech.
Yeah.
So he's older, so it's
the
like
thing is
seniority
I got to use my seniority a little bit.
Nice.
Here. Like,
Can I use my senor? Is he?
You can use it. Look, if you're going to speak Spanish, I'll listen.
He said
Seniority. He love he pulls out the Spanish jokes. You got to
Ay, papi.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Had to do it.
We've been waiting.
That's okay. We like it. We enjoy it.
So I'll try to do my best on the speech. Folks, if y'all are listening, apparently I got to do a speech for being the first guy here.
It'll be a good time.
Freddie, do you want to get some of these other guys in here?
Sure.
Yeah,
Anybody? See if we can get.
Yeah, Blake's a good one. Blake teaches.
Joe-
I mean, this is awesome. Blake needs to be in.
Blake teaches it at a vocational school.
Yeah,
Blake,
great.
come talk to us,
Auto body
Blake.
stuff like that. You know,
He can talk to you about how he got into that because we were friends before you were into that.
Mahalik, you want to jump on? No problem. So we got Joe Mahalik.
Holly on there. That'll be a
We'll
good
get
long
Joe Daz in
conversation.
here. His wife's not around. He can get in here.
Oh, we got 2 guys coming.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of extremely talented professional pinstripers that they make their living with painting, and they don't have a lot of time to go out to panel jams.
No, they don't. And that's even with me. So I don't make a living pinstriping anymore like I used to. I still pinstripe, but I make a living, painting bikes, doing repairs on bikes, stuff. I take care of several dealerships as far as Harley goes, and doing factory repairs, fixing bikes, doing custom paint jobs on bikes, or airbrushing pictures on fairings or whatever. And maybe once or twice a month, I'll get called out to go stripe a truck or, letter a sign or what have you. So that's what it's great for me, because I have the ability. I don't want to say it and try to sound arrogant, but I mean, where I do the airbrush, I do pinstriping and lettering, and I do the bike. So I don't get burnt out. I don't get bored. It's a different phone call every other day of the week. I may have, now there's 4 bikes in the shop. Went and done the big steel tractor trailer things that I was showing you guys. Here I'm at a panel jam. I'll go back home. I mean, it's just, as far as painting and making a living painting, I don't think it can get any better than something like that,
Yeah.
Tracy said something, and this is one thing I've noticed. He has a rare talent. He has the trifecta. You see some individuals can pinstripe, some individuals can airbrush, and some individuals can do body work. Tracy is one of a handful of people that I know that is, in my opinion, an expert in all 3 fields: pinstriping, airbrushing, lettering, and doing body work. There's just not many people out there that have that level of skill and dedication.
I can pretty much do all of that except the lettering part.
Yeah,
That's the part
it's.
I'm not.
So there you got Blake, got number 2.
So who do we got here? We got Blake. What's your last name, Blake?
Winters.
Blake Winters and Joe
Mahalik.
Mahalik. And where are you guys coming from?
I'm from Minooka, Illinois.
Where's that at again?
Just outside of Joliet.
If you can't pick up the mic a little.
No, I'm sorry. Just outside of Joliet.
All right, thank you. And Joe, where are you coming from?
I'm originally from Chicago, and I was there for about 20 years and moved out to Burbank, and now I'm transitioning myself to New Lenox, which is about an hour south of Chicago.
All right.
So,
All right, we got Jordan.
Yeah. Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep.
What's your last name, Jordan?
Winberg. Wienerberger.
And how'd y'all get into pinstriping?
I'm a second generation guy. I literally grew up watching my pops do this stuff. Probably about 4 years old, my dad's watching me. He's pinstriping a van with a customer. Goes to the back of the van, and he leaves me alone. I got into one of his brushes in his paint, and kind of that sparked it. And then I was one of those kids that drew on the walls, got in trouble for it. And my dad was the same way, though. He got his start by just drawing on the walls. His pops would lay into him a few times, to say it lightly. And then finally he just said, "Here, you're going to do this, kid." And my pops was pretty much, "All right, help me around the shop." And I've been doing this. I'm 48 now, and I've been doing it for getting paid for 39 years.
So you've pushed a lot of paint around.
Yeah, literally. I was coating 4x8 pieces of plywood when I was 9 years old.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Jordan, how'd you get into
Man, my dad was I'll put the microphone in my mouth. My dad always rode motorcycles and stuff, and I hung out with his motorcycle club dudes and stuff. I saw a bunch of custom paint and everything. I got into high school. I went to a performing arts high school.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I was a visual arts major.
All right.
I had this buddy named Skyler. He goes by Scoot Malone. He's a striper, sign painter in Nashville. But he threw me my first can of One Shot and a Green Wrap Mac and a Hot Rod Deluxe magazine, and said, "Fucking get after it."
Nice.
And how long ago was that?
Oh shit, that was. I say I've been striping as a hobby for about 10 years, but I mean, it kind of, the interest started a little bit earlier than that. But it's kind of, I saw art on cars, and I was apprenticing to be a tattoo artist, and I was like, oh shit, this is like right up my alley.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what did it. It was roughly, I'm 35 now. I was 19, 20.
Very cool.
When it kind of caught my eye, I guess.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, I ain't good at it though. I ain't painted in a fucking year.
No, I could tell you've been painting a while. And Blake, how'd you get into it?
I'm kind of like Jordan. I went to an art school, thought I was going to be this great artist for the rest of my life, and I was wrong. Just
Like most of us are.
right? Like most of us are. Unfortunately, it was one of those things where I went to school for illustration, and by the time I came out, a lot of stuff went digital, and I just didn't do digital work. I was still pencil and paint brushes and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
got into. Was looking to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do with myself after college, and got into working with a custom painter, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. And life happens, wife, kids, all that sort of stuff. And it took me a few years, but I went back and got auto body, stuff in my life. I got into it and went back to college and all that sort of stuff. And just through being an art kid and always loving the stuff, was into airbrushing, was into pinstriping, and tried it, wasn't really great at it, and was one of those things where it wasn't until, I'd watched all the videos and everything else of all those great pinstripers on YouTube, and it just didn't work, for me to watch the videos for myself. Like, I had to go take a class. So in Joliet, there's a local auto body supply place that would run classes, and I learned from Bill Jarvis. And that was it, and within 6 months, within 6 months of taking the classes, he's like, all right, come on, you got to go to this panel jam. Went to a panel jam. Okay, you got to go to the Brush Masters. Okay. And that's how I met Bob. And it's just been ever since. Like, any free half hour I had a brush in my hand and just kept painting because I enjoyed it.
What's the setup for Brush Masters? I've heard of it, but I don't. Is it just that is it similar like Syracuse and all that?
Yeah, kind of. It's. They do it through the World of Wheels. It's been going on, I think, this is 15 or
15
years.
Yeah, it'll be coming up 16th year.
I've been a part of it for, I think, the last 12 or so. I just got on the committee a couple of years ago to help with some of the organization stuff. But it's one of those things where you get all these great other artists that come through, and, like same thing, kind of like this, just we raise money for charity, so it's for the Ronald McDonald House charity, so try to help sick kids. So I'm all about doing stuff like that. And yeah, so it was they threw me in the deep end the first year, and it's just been one of those things where I've enjoyed it ever since.
Nice.
Well,
And now I teach high school auto body, so I teach kids to do the auto body side of stuff, and they get to see some of this stuff as we go through.
It's like a vocational school.
Yep, yeah, it's a vocational high school. We deal with seniors and juniors and seniors in high school.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brushmasters is the reason, I think, for me, that's the reason why I'm here. And that's what introduced me to Blake and Bob and Brian and so many other guys. We were doing the charity gigs, and I've been going to the Brushmasters since the first year. My dad was invited, and I kind of tagged along.
Very cool.
And I wasn't pinstriping at all.
Yeah.
I've been a sign guy since a little kid.
Yeah.
Wasn't always brush, and I remember 16 or so, my pop said, you get a chance to learn how to use a computer, do it. It's the future of this stuff. And he had a good vision for the business. He never laid the brushes down, but he adapted to the technological side, but he never touched a computer either. He had a friend that would help him out with stuff like that. But I went into the computer side when I was 20, and I didn't start painting again until about 15 years ago. But I'm a sign guy. I don't do the custom paint work. I just do it for these charity gigs. And I've moved on from the painting side of the pinstriping. I've adapted gold leaf work into my repertoire, and less pinstriping for me, more gold leaf.
Yeah, I think everybody finds their little groove, the things that they like the most.
I found my niche, and it was easy for me to find that within all this stuff because I saw so many people. There's so many great pinstripers and good gold leaf people, not great ones, that were doing the panel jams. Mm-hmm. There was guys that were doing really good work, but it wasn't as prevalent as the pinstriping and the other panels. So I'm like, well, I really like doing this gold leaf work. Maybe I can start doing more of it. So I started adapting that into my work, and then I forgot what year it was, but I saw some glass work that was done, and I was just blown away by how nice it was, and I figured I want to do this. And I made it a point now to do as much glass work as I can for gigs like this, just to keep pushing my skill set forward. And these guys seem to think I'm doing pretty good, so I'm going to keep moving with it.
Yeah, you do beautiful work, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I already got some tips from you.
Yeah, and
on
that's another reason. I'm sure everybody's already talked about it, but I come here to learn. and so do so many other people. We're always going to be students in this.
Yeah.
And,
we steal from each other all the time. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I just come here for Blake's panels he paints. That's all I do.
Being in the auto body side of stuff, I like doing the backgrounds and seeing what other people do with them. I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I love pinstriping. I love playing with stuff, but I just think it's cool to do something cool in the background and see what people can come up with over the top. Because
sometimes your backgrounds are too nice to even paint on, man.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, I've seen that.
Well, like I always like coming here because I like to see what Hugh Hoffman can do because.
He's amazing.
Some ridiculously heavy flaked panel, and everyone's like they don't want to touch it just because there's so much. It's so bright and obnoxious and
beautiful.
He literally takes it and just goes, oh, okay, and he puts some amazing art, and you just go, crap. I feel like an idiot because there was no way I would have ever come up with that.
Well, your panels are ready to frame just the way they are.
Hey, I have fun, man. Might as well enjoy it.
I mean, learning is the thing, man. I've learned most of what I know right now from Monaco and McKinsey.
Yeah.
Anything I know airbrush wise, we spent a weekend at McKinsey's house, and I learned how to do wood grain and fake marble.
And I've been lucky with that aspect as well. Anything my dad couldn't teach me, that's what you guys are for. And I'm going to sponge it.
Always willing to learn and always willing to try something, and even if it fails, all right, cool. Maybe you come up with something else out of it.
Mm-hmm. Got to experiment.
That failure,
and use
maybe
what's in front of you.
Well, what if I try this and then it works, and you're like, oh, that's even cooler. All right.
Trial and error sometimes.
Yeah, like Bob said, it's like the only place you could talk shop to everybody here.
Yeah.
Right. And we all got different views on stuff.
Different skills that, hey, how did you do that? Hey, how did you do this? And at least in this group, there's some old school guys that just won't tell you anything about what they do and how they do it. But like everybody here is, oh yeah, here, this is how I did it. Oh, no, come here.
And here's a place.
Let me show you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And here's a place where, say, like us three all worked and we had the same exact panel we worked on.
It'd be different.
And
it's always going to be
what's the methods that you use? We can probably have 3 different methods to achieve that same end result.
Yeah.
And at that point, somebody, if the audience is watching and they're asking questions, they might adapt whatever is easiest for them to comprehend to get that to get those skills implemented into their daily routine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you guys see this growing? This is gonna be the last question I'm gonna ask because everybody's chomping at the bit to be loud. But do y'all see this art growing or stagnant, or do you see it declining as an art form, pinstriping by itself?
I think it's a wide range. I mean, I think I think the biggest issue is you have to have the passion for it. You have to be willing to put the time in behind a brush.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue. I think so many people, like I said, I teach high school kids. So you see these kids that, I have all these lockers painted up in my room, and these kids are like, oh, I want to do that. Okay, cool. Here's a brush. Show me you can pull a design and take the time to learn how to do it, and then I'll let you paint the locker. I don't care. I don't mind. I love having that artwork around me.
Yeah.
But they do it for 20 minutes, and it's, I don't want to do it anymore. Well, man, I can't, when they ask me, how come you can do that so fast? Well, I put so many hours behind a brush. That's why I can do it.
You got to get hooked. You got to get hooked.
Yeah, and you have to have the passion.
You got to feel
for
it.
I mean, like I said, when I first started striping, it was literally any time I had free time, I had a brush in my hand.
Yeah, me too.
My wife was pissed because I literally spent every night at the dining room table for 2 hours.
Yeah, everything in the house. Yeah.
Anything
You're looking for any flat spot you could find in the house.
And but now it's like she gets it and she's like, oh, okay. Like I'll come home with a stack of 20 panels and she'll be like, oh, those will be done in like 2 weeks and, something different just because that's just how we work. We love to do that.
I think it's going to grow with, social media. Man, like I
think that's what kept it going.
I'm at Monaco randomly at a Lowe's in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. He's wearing a fucking Von Dago t-shirt, Pro Series t-shirt. And I was like, hey,
I see it going further because of
out,
people like you doing podcasts, and the social media thing has really helped us revive it. And over the last few years, I've seen it even growing.
A bigger resurgence of the hand painted work.
And people are starting to acknowledge it a little bit more. And I see it in younger crowds, even when they're opening up their own businesses. A lot of them are looking for the handcrafted, handmade things, and
they want to support local.
Right, and as long as there's all of us to keep promoting it, if we don't keep moving that forward, it will die.
Yeah.
So we just have to keep younger crowds, even older crowds that are interested in doing this.
Go on Pinstripers Garage, man. There's always somebody new that's like,
right.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm just starting out. How to fucking.
And out of 10 of those
guys.
or gals that are going to pick up that brush for the first time, you're only going to get one of them
That's
going to move
very
on.
true. Yeah.
So you got to, when you're trying to get the new people into this, give it with a grain of salt and don't get discouraged because they might get discouraged because, you got to remember that all of us, we're that 10% that stuck it through and put the time in and just said, this is what I'm going to do. And if you don't have that mindset where you're going to have to practice and practice and practice, then you're not going to make it.
Well, I appreciate that insight, guys. Everybody, we're going to have lunch, so I think we're going to call it a day. So thanks again to Blake.
Absolutely.
Thanks again to Joe. Thank you, Jordan. Sorry.
Man, you wrote up.
Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate it.
I keep wanting to say Taylor for some reason.
Taylor.
Where does Taylor come from?
That's his new name.
To me,
Call me Taylor.
to me, Taylor's like Jordan.
Hey, you excited about that speech you're giving tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be the best speech ever. I'm going to keep it.
We've all done it,
Keep
so
it,
it's just
yeah.
your turn. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Tracy ain't done it.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for
Maybe
listening,
next year.
and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.